In World War II, the skies became the ultimate battlefield. In World War II, the skies became the ultimate battlefield. Victory didn't just belong to the army on the ground, but to the nation that controlled the air above it. Fighter aircraft were the tip of the spear, the guardians of the sky, and the decisive weapon in this global conflict. Today, we're diving into the legendary fighters that defined an era, exploring the incredible machines from every major power that clashed in the fight for air superiority. Let's start with the industrial titan of the war, the United States. American ingenuity and mass production created a stunning variety of fighters. One of the most unusual was the Bell P-39 Airacobra. Its engine was mounted behind the pilot, a radical design that allowed a massive 37mm cannon to be placed right in the nose. While it struggled at high altitudes, it was a beast at low levels. Soviet pilots, who received thousands through Lend-Lease, adored the P-39 and used it to tear apart German tanks and ground targets. Its successor, the P-63 King Cobra, was even better, fixing many of the P-39's flaws and continuing its legacy on the brutal Eastern Front. Early in the war, some American designs faltered. The stubby Brewster F-2A Buffalo, an early naval fighter, was quickly outmatched by its Japanese opponents. On the front lines, the Curtiss P-40 Warhawk became a symbol of American grit. Flown by the legendary Flying Tigers in China, the P-40 was tough as nails. It couldn't outturn a Zero, but its rugged construction and incredible diving speed made it a lethal weapon in the hands of a skilled pilot. In the Pacific, the U.S. Navy's carrier aviation was dominated by Grumman, earning the nickname Grumman Ironworks for their tough-as-nails planes. The F-4F Wildcat held the line against the Zero in the early, desperate days of the war. It was then replaced by the F-6F Hellcat, a masterpiece of design that was fast, powerful, and easy to fly. The Hellcat became the most successful U.S. Navy fighter of the war, racking up more aerial victories than any other Allied naval aircraft. Later, Grumman unleashed the F-8F Bearcat, a super lightweight powerhouse designed to climb like a rocket and dominate in a dogfight. Its long range made it a perfect escort for heavy bombers on dangerous missions deep into Germany, and its concentrated firepower made it a deadly interceptor. But the plane that truly broke the back of the Luftwaffe was the North American P-51 Mustang. Initially an average fighter, it was transformed into a war winner with the addition of the British Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. With incredible speed, range, and agility, the Mustang could escort bombers all the way to Berlin and back, sweeping the skies of German defenders and ensuring Allied air superiority over Europe. Finally, we have the behemoth of the group, the Republic P-47 Thunderbolt. This thing was a monster, the heaviest single-engine fighter of the war. It could absorb incredible amounts of damage and was armed with 8 .50 caliber machine guns. While it was a capable dogfighter, the Thunderbolt found its true calling as a fighter bomber, delivering tons of bombs. Now, let's turn to their primary adversary, Germany. The backbone of the Luftwaffe was the Messerschmitt Bf 109, first flown before the war even began. The 109 was continuously upgraded, remaining a deadly and effective fighter right up until 1945. It was small, agile, and a formidable opponent in any dogfight. Its partner in crime was the Focke-Wulf FW 190. When this plane appeared in 1941, it sent a shockwave through the Allies. The Butcher Bird, as it was known, was heavily armed, incredibly fast, and exceptionally durable. It excelled in virtually every role, from dogfighting to ground attack. A later variant, the high-altitude Ta-152, pushed piston engine performance to its absolute limit, designed to hunt down high-flying Allied bombers. Germany also invested in heavy, twin-engine fighters like the Messerschmitt Bf 110, It performed well early on but struggled against more agile single-engine fighters later in the war. However, it found a new, terrifying purpose as a night fighter, equipped with radar to hunt Allied bombers in the dark. Other dedicated night fighters, like the advanced Heinkel He 219, were incredibly effective, becoming the nightmare of RAF Bomber Command. But Germany's most revolutionary contributions were its wonder weapons. The Me-163 Comet was a rocket-powered interceptor, a tiny glider that shot into the sky at unbelievable speeds to attack bomber formations. It was dangerous to fly and had very little fuel, but it was a glimpse of the future. The jet age had arrived, and it was a terrifying sight. On the vast Eastern Front, the Soviet Union fought a different kind of air war. Their philosophy was built on simplicity, ruggedness, and mass production. Soviet fighters had to be easy to build, easy to fly, and tough enough to operate from rough, primitive airfields. The Yakovlev Design Bureau produced a legendary series of fighters, the Yak-1, Yak-3, and Yak-9. These planes were light, incredibly agile, and perfectly suited for the low to medium altitude dogfights of the Eastern Front. Equally impressive were the fighters from the Lavokin Design Bureau. Early designs like the LAGG-3 were made of wood and initially underpowered, but they evolved into the phenomenal La-5 and La-7. These powerful, rugged fighters were more than a match for Germany's best, like the FW-190, and became symbols of Soviet air power. Despite limited resources, Soviet aircraft designs were devastatingly effective and crucial to the victory on the Eastern Front. Next, we cross the Channel to the United Kingdom. When you think of British fighters, one name comes to mind: the Supermarine Spitfire. With its elegant elliptical wings and incredible performance, the Spitfire became the icon of British resistance. It was constantly upgraded throughout the war, evolving from an early war interceptor to a high-speed, high-altitude monster, serving in every theater of the conflict. But during the pivotal Battle of Britain, the unsung hero was the Hawker Hurricane. While the Spitfire famously tangled with the German fighters, the rugged and stable Hurricane accounted for the majority of the RAF's victories, shooting down more enemy aircraft than all other defenses combined. Later in the war, Hawker produced the Typhoon and Tempest. These big, powerful fighters became fearsome low-altitude attackers, perfect for rhubarbs over occupied Europe and for intercepting the terrifying V-1 flying bombs. Britain also excelled with twin-engine designs. The Bristol Beaufighter was a heavily armed beast, earning the Japanese nickname Whispering Death for its quiet engines and devastating firepower. But perhaps the most remarkable aircraft of the war was the de Havilland Mosquito. Made almost entirely of wood, the wooden wonder was so fast that it could often outrun enemy fighters without needing any defensive guns. It excelled as a night fighter, a pathfinder, and a precision strike aircraft. And not to be outdone by Germany, Britain introduced its own jet fighter late in the war, the Gloucester Meteor, which saw action chasing down V-1 South. Across the globe in the Pacific, Japan built fighters that prioritized incredible maneuverability and extreme long range. The most famous of these was the Mitsubishi A6M0. In the early stages of the war, the Zero was untouchable. It could outturn anything the Allies had, forcing them to completely rethink their air combat tactics and develop new strategies like the thatch weave just to survive. The Japanese army had its own impressive fighters, like the Nakajima Ki-43 Oscar, which was even more agile than the Zero, and the later Ki-80 for Frank, a powerful and well-balanced fighter that combined speed, agility, and firepower. As the war turned against Japan, they developed specialized interceptors like the J-2M Raiden to defend the home islands from devastating B-29 bomber raids. Late-war designs like the N-1KJ Shidenkai or George surprised Allied pilots with their excellent performance and ruggedness, proving that Japan was still capable of producing world-class fighters until the very end. Italy, though a major Axis power, often struggled to produce fighters in sufficient numbers. Early biplanes like the Fiat CR-40 Falco fought bravely, but were obsolete. Later designs, however, were absolutely world-class. The Macchi C200 Folgore, its successor, the C200 Veltro, were beautiful, fast, and highly agile fighters, powered by license-built German engines. Along with the Fiat G55, these aircraft could match the best Allied fighters, but they arrived too late and in too few numbers to make a strategic difference. We can't forget the other nations caught in the conflict. France's best fighter in 1940, the WWII D520, was a superb aircraft, easily a match for the German Bf 109, but there were simply too few of them to halt the German invasion. Poland's pilots fought with incredible bravery in their obsolete PCLP-11 fighters against overwhelming odds, and smaller nations like Finland, Sweden, and Romania managed to design and produce their own capable fighters that performed impressively under the harshest conditions. In just 6 years, the world's fighter aircraft evolved at a pace never seen before or since. They went from fabric-covered biplanes to metal monoplanes, from piston engines to the dawn of the jet age. These incredible machines and the brave pilots who flew them were more than just tools of war. They were symbols of national pride, marvels of engineering, and the decisive factor in the battle for the skies that shaped the outcome of World War II. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through aviation history, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content.